Wow, okay, looks like someone's been doing their homework. You're really going all in on artificial intelligence. From ancient myths to self-driving cars. There's a pretty fascinating stack of sources here. Articles, research papers. I'm even seeing some handwritten notes. Clearly, you're serious about this deep dive. So let's unpack this AI world together.
You've even got some notes on AI in ancient myths. It's interesting, did you know, the Greek myth of Talos, a giant bronze automaton. It's often considered an early concept of AI.
Okay, that is super cool. So it's not just a modern sci-fi thing then. We've been dreaming of thinking machines for centuries.
Absolutely. And the golem of Jewish folklore,
Yeah.
a being created from clay and brought to life. That's another great example. These stories really highlight how deep-rooted this desire to create intelligent beings. It's in human history. It's a fascination that spans cultures and time.
I'm also seeing that you have some sources on early philosophers like René Descartes. What's the AI connection there?
Well, Descartes pondered the nature of the mind, separating it from the physical body. This laid the groundwork for later questions about consciousness and whether it can be replicated in machines.
Hmm. It's interesting to think about how these philosophical ideas from centuries ago are still relevant to the AI discussions we're having today. So how did we go from myths and philosophical musings to the actual science of AI?
The term artificial intelligence, it was coined at the Dartmouth Conference in 1956. That's often considered the birth of the field as we know it.
The big bang of AI, so to speak.
Exactly. Key figures like John McCarthy and Marvin Minsky, they gathered to explore the possibility of creating machines that could solve problems, learn and mimic human intelligence.
And right around that same time, Alan Turing, the brilliant mathematician, he came up with the Turing test, right? That's
Yeah.
the one where you try to see if a machine can hold a conversation so well that you can't tell it's not human. It's fascinating to see how these early ideas, they're still so influential today.
Absolutely. The Turing test still sparks debate about what it truly means for a machine to be intelligent.
Okay, so we've got the early dreamers, the myths, the philosophers, and then that big bang moment at Dartmouth. But from what I'm seeing in your notes, there were some bumps in the road after that. Something about an AI winter.
Yeah, well, early AI was largely rule-based. Programmers had to write explicit instructions for every task.
So kind of like a super complex set of if this, then that statements. I can see how that would get pretty limiting.
Exactly. It worked for simple tasks, but struggled with the complexities of the real world. This led to the AI winter in the 70s and 80s, a period of reduced funding and interest in the field.
The AI winter sounds discouraging. Was there a specific breakthrough that reignited interest, or was it a gradual shift?
Well, in the 80s and 90s, things started to change. With the rise of machine learning,
From what I've read, machine learning seems to be where things get really interesting. Instead of being explicitly programmed, the algorithms actually learn from data, kind of like how our brains do with neural networks. One of the things that really stood out to me was the story of Deep Blue, the IBM supercomputer. That defeated chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov in 1997. That felt like a major turning point.
absolutely. Deep Blue's victory. It was a wake-up call for a lot of people. It was a powerful demonstration
Yeah.
that machines were capable of surpassing human capabilities, at least in certain domains.
It's mind-blowing how AI has evolved since then, from playing chess to things like, well, you've got some notes on Google's AlphaGo. What's that about?
AlphaGo mastered the ancient game of Go, which is far more complex than chess. But learning from millions of games and playing against itself, this was made possible by the explosion of deep learning in the 21st century. It took machine learning to a whole new level.
I can see why you marked this up in your notes. It really is fascinating stuff. Deep learning seems to be everywhere these days, from the recommendations we get on Netflix to virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa. It's even changing how medical diagnoses are made. It's woven itself into our lives, hasn't it?
It absolutely has. And then there's OpenAI's GPT language models, which can generate human-quality text, impacting fields like writing and education. It's mind-blowing to think how far we've come from those early AI programs.
I know you have a bunch of material here about those GPT language models. We should definitely dig into that more in a bit. It seems like there's a whole other level of AI we haven't even touched on yet.
There's a lot more to explore for sure. And as AI's capabilities have grown, so too have the questions and challenges surrounding it. Some of these questions go beyond just the technical and delve into some really profound areas.
Okay, now we're getting into the really thought-provoking stuff. But before we jump into that, let's take a quick pause to gather our thoughts. We'll be right back to explore those big questions and what they mean for the future of AI and humanity. All right, so we're back, ready to tackle those big questions about AI. I'm seeing a lot of notes and articles on things like AI's impact on jobs, ethics of creation, even the potential for superintelligence. Where should we start?
One area that's generating a lot of discussion, and rightfully so, is the impact of AI on jobs. As AI automates more tasks, some jobs will inevitably be displaced. We're already seeing this in fields like manufacturing and transportation. Now, you have some specific sources on this. What are your thoughts on this shift in the job market?
Well, one of the articles you highlighted talks about the need for retraining programs to help people adapt to these new rules. It makes sense that while some jobs might disappear, others will emerge. The article even mentions specific examples, like data science and AI ethics, as fields that are growing rapidly. It's not just about replacing humans with robots, but about how humans and AI can work together in new ways.
That's a crucial point. The key is to adapt and prepare for these changes by focusing on education and retraining programs that equip people with the skills they need for the jobs of the future. It's not just about technical skills, but also about critical thinking, creativity, and the ability to work alongside AI systems.
That brings me to another theme I'm seeing in your notes, the philosophical implications of AI. If a machine can write a poem or compose a symphony, does that make it art? Does it change how WE view human creativity?
Those are some of the most fascinating questions AI raises. It forces us to reconsider what it means to be intelligent, conscious, and creative. If a machine can create something that evokes emotion or inspires us, do we judge it differently because it wasn't created by a human mind? These are questions that philosophers and artists are grappling with right now.
It's like that question. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. But with AI, it's more like, if an AI writes a haiku, is it still a haiku?
Exactly. And it goes even deeper than art. If we create machines that can think and feel, what responsibilities do we have towards them? Do they deserve rights? These are all questions that fall under the umbrella of the ethics of creation. It's a complex area with no easy answers.
And then there's the question of what happens if we create machines that are smarter than humans. You have quite a few sources here about artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and the potential risks of superintelligent AI. It seems like a lot of people, including some very prominent figures in the tech world, are concerned about this. What are your thoughts on the quest for AGI and its implications for humanity?
Well, their concerns are certainly valid. The potential for AI to surpass human intelligence raises fundamental questions about control and safety. If we create machines that can think for themselves, how do we ensure they align with human values and goals? How do we prevent unintended consequences?
It's like we're venturing into uncharted territory, and there's no roadmap for what lies ahead. It's both exciting and a bit daunting. But one thing that seems clear from your notes is that a lot of people are thinking about these issues and trying to find ways to develop AI responsibly. You've even highlighted organizations like OpenAI, which are dedicated to researching and promoting the safe and beneficial development of AGI.
Yes, and that's encouraging. It's crucial that we have these conversations now. While AI is still in its relatively early stages of development, we need to be thinking about the long-term implications and working to create ethical frameworks and safeguards that will guide us as we move forward.
It's a lot to consider. AI is not just changing our world, but also changing how we understand ourselves and our place in the universe. But as you said, the journey is just beginning. I'm curious to hear what you think about the future of AI and its potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems, as well as the challenges we need to be mindful of. Ready to dive into that?
Absolutely. Let's explore what the future might hold.
So we've talked about the past and present of AI and even, touched on some of those big philosophical questions it raises. But I'm ready to jump into the future. What kind of impact could AI have on the world in the coming years? I mean, you've got a ton of research highlighted here.
One area with immense promise is healthcare. I see some of your notes on AI-powered tools for analyzing medical images, like with incredible accuracy, leading to earlier and more precise diagnoses.
That would be amazing, catching those diseases early when treatment is most effective.
Right, and one of the articles even mentions AI for accelerating drug discovery, potentially finding cures for diseases that have plagued us for centuries.
That's incredible.
Absolutely, and it goes even further. AI being explored for personalized medicine too, algorithms tailoring treatments to an individual's genetic makeup.
Wow, so maximizing effectiveness, minimizing side effects. That's targeted healthcare.
Exactly.
It sounds like AI could really extend our lifespans and improve our quality of life in so many ways.
That certainly has that potential.
Yeah.
But it's not just healthcare. You've also flagged some research on AI tackling global challenges like climate change,
Okay.
optimizing energy grids, developing renewable energy, even predicting and mitigating natural disasters.
Now that's using technology for good.
It is. But it brings us to another important point you highlighted: international collaboration.
Right.
No single country or company can do this alone. We need to make sure AI is developed responsibly, ethically, for everyone.
Collaboration is key for sure. So one last question. What about that quest for artificial general intelligence, human-level AI? Will we see that in our lifetime?
It's hard to say. AGI is a long-term goal, and there's still so much we don't know about intelligence and consciousness, but the progress we've seen lately suggests it's not impossible.
Wow, that's a big thought. Living alongside truly intelligent machines.
It is, and it raises those big questions about humanity and our place in the universe. But one thing's for sure, this AI journey is just beginning.
Well, it sounds like you've given our listener a lot to think about, from ancient myths to the birth of AI to these incredible advancements today. And wow, even that potential impact on the future. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have, and what's clear is that this technology has the potential to reshape our world in ways we can only begin to imagine.
It's powerful, complex, it raises more questions than answers, but ultimately it's up to us to guide its development and use it to create a better future for everyone. So as you continue exploring this fascinating world of AI, remember you have a role to play in shaping its future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.